Marcus Chen walked through the busy halls of JFK Airport with his backpack hanging from one shoulder. He wore a gray hoodie and comfortable jeans. His sneakers were old but clean. To anyone watching, he looked like a regular traveler. Nobody would guess he was worth over $3 billion. Marcus liked it that way. He had built his company from nothing. Tech Venture Global was now one of the biggest tech companies in the world, but success had not changed how he dressed or acted. He still remembered the days when he could barely afford a bus ticket. Now he could buy a private jet, but he chose to fly commercial. It kept him connected to regular people. Today he was flying to London. He had an important meeting there. A major deal was waiting to be signed. The deal would bring clean energy technology to millions of people. Marcus had worked on this project for 2 years. Everything needed to go perfectly. He reached Gate 47 and saw the boarding area. A sign above the desk showed his flight number. First-class passengers were being called to board. Marcus got in line behind a man in an expensive suit and a woman wearing designer clothes and heavy jewelry. At the desk stood a flight attendant named Rebecca Walsh. She had worked for the airline for 15 years. Her uniform was neat and her hair was pulled back tight. She smiled at each first-class passenger as she scanned their tickets. The man in the suit stepped forward. Rebecca's smile grew wider. "Good afternoon, sir. Welcome aboard. Enjoy your flight." The woman with jewelry was next. "Hello, so lovely to see you. Have a wonderful trip to London." Then it was Marcus's turn. He stepped forward with his phone ready. His boarding pass was on the screen. But before he could show it, Rebecca's smile disappeared. Her eyes moved from his face to his hoodie to his old backpack. Her expression changed completely. "Excuse me," Rebecca said. Her voice was different now. Not warm like before. "Are you sure you're in the right line?" Marcus looked confused. "Yes, I'm flying first class." "This line is for first-class passengers only," Rebecca said slowly, as if Marcus might not understand. "Economy boarding is over there." She pointed to another gate area. "I know," Marcus said calmly. "I have a first-class ticket." He held up his phone to show the boarding pass. Rebecca leaned forward and looked at the screen. Her eyes became narrow. She stared at it for a long time. Too long. Marcus had flown hundreds of times. Scanning a ticket normally took 3 seconds. Rebecca had been looking at his for almost 30 seconds. "Where did you get this ticket?" Rebecca asked. Marcus felt a small knot form in his stomach. "I bought it. Through the airline app." "When did you buy it?" "Yesterday. Why? Is there a problem?" Rebecca did not answer. She kept staring at the phone screen. "This looks strange," she finally said. "Strange how?" Marcus asked. He kept his voice calm and polite. "The barcode looks altered. Are you sure this is a real ticket?" Marcus felt heat rise in his face, but he stayed cool. "It's real. I purchased it directly from your airline's website. You can check your system." Other passengers in line behind Marcus started to shift on their feet. A few checked their watches. One woman sighed loudly. Rebecca looked past Marcus at the growing line. Then she looked back at him. "Did you personally purchase this ticket? With your own credit card?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Marcus knew exactly what she was really asking. "Yes, I did. Sir, I need to verify this. Please step aside." Rebecca waved toward the wall near the gate desk. "Step aside?" "The ticket is valid. Just scan it." "I said step aside, sir." Rebecca's voice got harder. "I need to call my supervisor." Marcus felt everyone staring at him. The man in the expensive suit had turned around to watch. The woman with jewelry whispered something to her companion. 2 teenagers had their phones out. Marcus knew they might be recording. He took a deep breath. Getting angry would not help. It would only make things worse. "Fine, but I need to board this flight. I have an important meeting in London." Rebecca pressed a button on her radio. "Tom, can you come to gate 47? I need a supervisor." She did not look at Marcus as she spoke. Marcus stepped to the side. He watched as Rebecca continued boarding other first-class passengers. An older white man in casual clothes approached. He was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. His clothes were actually more casual than Marcus's. Rebecca smiled at him warmly and scanned his ticket without any questions. "Have a lovely flight, sir." Then came a young white woman in workout clothes and flip-flops. Again, Rebecca smiled and scanned the ticket immediately. "Enjoy London." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. The pattern was clear, very clear. A businessman in line noticed what was happening. He looked at Marcus, then at Rebecca, then back at Marcus. His expression showed he understood too. 5 minutes passed. Marcus checked his watch. The flight would start boarding economy passengers soon. His meeting in London was scheduled for tomorrow morning. He could not miss this flight. Finally, a man in an airline uniform walked up. His name tag said Tom Rodriguez, supervisor. He looked tired, like he had dealt with many problems today already. "What's going on?" Tom asked Rebecca. Rebecca pulled Tom aside, but Marcus could still hear her. She was not trying to be quiet. "That man has a suspicious ticket. I think it might be fake or stolen. The barcode looks wrong." Tom glanced at Marcus. "Did you scan it?" "I started to, but something felt off. You know how you get that feeling? My instincts are telling me something is not right here." Marcus stepped forward. "Excuse me. My ticket is completely valid. I bought it yesterday through the official airline app. Here's my confirmation number. Here's my ID. Everything matches." Tom took Marcus's phone and his driver's license. He compared them carefully. Then he walked to the gate desk computer and typed something. He stared at the screen. He typed more. He clicked his mouse several times. Rebecca stood with her arms crossed, watching. She looked confident, like she expected to be proven right. Tom's face showed confusion. "The ticket is valid. It's showing in our system as fully paid and legitimate." "That can't be right," Rebecca said quickly. "Check again." Tom checked again. "It's definitely valid. Purchased yesterday at 3:47 p.m. through our mobile app. Payment processed successfully. Everything is in order." Rebecca's confidence cracked just a little, but she did not back down. Maybe he used a stolen credit card, or maybe someone else bought it for him and he's pretending to be them. Marcus felt anger flash through him, but he pushed it down. "I am Marcus Chen. That's my name on the ticket. That's my name on my ID. I bought this ticket with my own credit card. I don't understand what the problem is." "The problem," Rebecca said, looking right at him, "is that this doesn't add up. First-class tickets to London cost thousands of dollars. You show up here looking like—" She waved her hand at his clothes. "Like that. No luggage except a backpack. Something is not right." The words felt like a slap. Marcus had heard words like this before in his life, when he was trying to rent his first office space, when he walked into investor meetings, when he ate at expensive restaurants. Always the same message: you don't belong here. A young woman in the first-class line spoke up. Her name was Emily Park. She was maybe 25 years old, wearing a business suit. "Excuse me, but I know who he is. That's Marcus Chen. He gave a TED Talk about technology and entrepreneurship. I watched it for my business class." Rebecca barely looked at Emily. "Anyone can look like someone famous. That doesn't prove anything. But his ID matches the ticket," Tom said quietly. "And the ticket is valid in our system. I don't see grounds to deny boarding." Rebecca turned to face Tom directly. Her voice got low but intense. "Tom, I've worked here for 15 years. 15 years. I know when something is wrong. I'm telling you, we need to investigate this further before we let him on that plane." Marcus checked his watch again. More time was passing. Other passengers were now all looking at him. Some with sympathy, some with curiosity, some recording with their phones. This was becoming a scene. Tom looked uncomfortable. He was caught between his employee and what his computer was telling him. "Rebecca, the system says the ticket is good. Then maybe he hacked the system. Maybe he knows someone who works here. I don't know how he did it, but I know my instincts. And my instincts say this man is lying." The word lying seemed to echo across the gate area. Marcus felt something break inside him. Not his composure. He kept that. But his patience was wearing very thin. "I would like to speak to the gate manager," Marcus said. His voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath. "Right now." Rebecca made a small sound that was almost a laugh. "The gate manager is very busy. You can't just demand to speak to whoever you want." "I'm a first-class passenger with a valid ticket being prevented from boarding my flight," Marcus said. "Yes, I can request to speak to the gate manager." "That's my right." Tom pulled out his radio. He looked like he wanted this situation to end. "Patricia, can you come to gate 47? While they waited, Rebecca turned to the other passengers. "I apologize for the delay, everyone. We're just making sure all our passengers are properly verified for safety reasons." An older man in the line called out, "His ticket is valid. Let him board. Some of us have connections to make." Rebecca's face got red. "Sir, I'm handling this situation." You're creating this situation, the man shot back. Rebecca stepped forward before Tom could speak. Patricia, I understand the system shows the ticket as valid, but I have serious concerns. The situation doesn't feel right. Look at him. Does he look like someone who can afford a first-class ticket to London? Patricia's expression went cold. Rebecca, that's not appropriate. I'm just being honest, Rebecca continued. We're trained to watch for fraud. First-class tickets cost over $5,000. He shows up with one backpack wearing a hoodie, no proper luggage. He won't show me the credit card he used to purchase the ticket. I'm protecting the airline. Marcus spoke up. I don't carry all my credit cards when I travel, that's basic security. I have my ID which matches the ticket. The system confirms the purchase. What more do you need? The credit card, Rebecca insisted. Show me the credit card used for purchase and I'll let this go. That's not standard procedure, Patricia said firmly. We don't ask passengers to produce credit cards at the gate. The ticket is valid. That's what matters. Rebecca's face was turning red. With all due respect, Patricia, I've been doing this job for 15 years. I know when something is off. This whole thing feels like fraud. If we let him board and something happens, it's on us. It's on the airline. I'm trying to protect us. Tom shifted uncomfortably. Rebecca, maybe we should just... No, Rebecca cut him off. She turned to Patricia. I'm telling you right now, if this man boards this aircraft, I refuse to work the flight. I will not serve a passenger I believe is flying on a stolen or fraudulent ticket. The gate area went completely silent. Even the background airport noise seemed to fade. Patricia stared at Rebecca with disbelief. You're refusing to work your assigned flight? If he boards, yes. I stand by my assessment. Something is very wrong here. Marcus felt his phone buzz in his pocket. He pulled it out and glanced at the screen. A text from Jennifer, his executive assistant. Call made. Wait for it. Patricia took a deep breath. She looked at Marcus. Mr. Chen, I sincerely apologize for this situation. Your ticket is valid. You have every right to board. But I'm saying he doesn't, Rebecca interrupted. I'm invoking my right as crew to refuse service to a passenger I believe poses a risk. A risk? Patricia's voice rose slightly. What risk? His ticket is paid for and legitimate. You're making an accusation with no evidence. My evidence is 15 years of experience. My evidence is that this doesn't add up. Look at the other first-class passengers. Rebecca gestured toward the jetway where well-dressed passengers were still boarding. They look the part. They have proper luggage. They belong there. He doesn't. Emily Park, the young woman who had recognized Marcus earlier, spoke up again. This is ridiculous. I told you he's Marcus Chen. He's famous in the tech world. He's probably richer than everyone on this plane combined. Rebecca spun to face Emily. And how do you know that? Because you saw a video online? Anyone can pretend to be someone else. Anyone can look like someone in a photo. His ID says Marcus Chen, Emily shot back. His ticket says Marcus Chen. What more proof do you need? Real proof, not just some ID that could be fake. Marcus watched the argument bounce back and forth. Part of him wanted to reveal everything right now, tell them exactly who he was. But another part of him was curious to see how far this would go, how far Rebecca would push her suspicions, and how the airline would handle it. A businessman in line called out, "Can we please just board the flight? This is getting ridiculous. His ticket is valid. Let him on the plane." Another passenger agreed. "I've been standing here for 20 minutes, just let the man board." Rebecca turned to face the other passengers. "I understand you're frustrated, but would you want to fly with someone using a stolen ticket? Would you feel safe? I'm doing this for all of you." "You're doing this because of how he looks," said an older black woman in the economy boarding area. She had been watching the whole scene. "We all see what's happening here. That young man is well-dressed and polite. His ticket is good. You just don't think he belongs in first class." "That's not true," Rebecca said quickly. Too quickly. "This has nothing to do with race. This is about following procedures and trusting my instincts." Your instincts seem very selective, the woman replied. I've been watching. You didn't question anyone else. Not the man in shorts, not the woman in workout clothes, just him. More passengers were paying attention now. Some were nodding in agreement. Others had their phones out, recording everything. Marcus could see the little red lights that showed they were filming. Patricia's phone rang. She looked at the screen and her face went pale. Excuse me, I need to take this. She walked several feet away, turning her back to the crowd. Rebecca looked satisfied, like she thought Patricia was calling security to remove Marcus. Tom stood near the desk looking miserable. He clearly wanted no part of the situation. Marcus remained calm on the outside, but inside he was processing everything, every word, every action. This was not just about one flight attendant. This was bigger. This was about systems and assumptions. This was about who gets believed and who gets questioned. He had experienced things like this before, but usually in more subtle ways. A security guard following him in an expensive store. Extra questions at a bank when making a large deposit. People assuming he was IT support when he walked into his own board meetings. But this was blatant. This was open. Patricia finished her call. When she turned around, her face had changed completely. She looked shocked and worried. She walked back to the group quickly. Rebecca, I need to speak with you right now in private. Can't it wait until after we resolve this situation? Rebecca asked. No, it cannot wait. Now. Patricia's voice had an edge that cut through everything else. Rebecca glanced at Tom, then at Marcus, then back at Patricia. Fine, but I'm not changing my position. That man should not board this aircraft. We'll discuss it in the office. Tom, please continue boarding while we step away. Patricia walked toward a door marked Staff Only. Rebecca followed, still looking confident. Like she expected to come back and be proven right. As soon as they left, Tom turned to Marcus. Sir, I'm very sorry about all this. Your ticket is valid. Let me get you boarded right away. Thank you, Marcus said simply. Tom scanned the boarding pass on Marcus's phone. It beeped successfully. You're all set, Mr. Chen. Again, my apologies for the delay. Marcus picked up his backpack. As he walked toward the jetway, something unexpected happened. Several passengers who had witnessed the confrontation started clapping. Slow at first, then louder. The older black woman who had spoken up called out, You handled that with real class, young man. Real class. Marcus nodded to her. Thank you. Emily Park gave him a thumbs up as he passed. I can't believe that just happened. Are you okay? I'm fine, thank you for speaking up. That was wrong, what she did was so wrong. Marcus didn't disagree. He walked down the jetway toward the plane. The tunnel was empty and quiet after the chaos of the gate area. His footsteps echoed. He thought about Rebecca's words. You don't look like you belong. He had heard variations of that his whole life. When he was a kid in a poor neighborhood, dreaming of college, when he was the first in his family to start a company, when he walked into rooms full of investors who looked nothing like him. The difference now was that he had power. He had resources. He could make phone calls that got answered immediately. He could create consequences. The question was, should he? Marcus reached the aircraft door. A flight attendant stood there with a smile. Her name tag said Sarah Kim, lead flight attendant. Welcome aboard, Mr. Chen, she said warmly. Then her smile faded slightly. I heard there was some kind of issue at the gate. Is everything all right? It's handled, Marcus said. I'm very sorry for any inconvenience. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to make your flight more comfortable. Marcus nodded and moved into the first-class cabin. His seat was 2A, a window seat near the front. He put his backpack in the overhead bin and sat down. The seat was wide and comfortable. The leather was soft. There was plenty of legroom. Other first-class passengers were settling in around him. Some glanced at him curiously. They probably wondered what all the commotion had been about. A few looked sympathetic. They had seen what happened. A flight attendant came by with a tray of drinks. Champagne, Mr. Chen? Water, please. Of course. Again, on behalf of the entire crew, I apologize for the situation at the gate. That's not how we treat our passengers. I appreciate that. The flight attendant left and Marcus looked out the window. He could see the terminal building. Somewhere in there, Rebecca was having a conversation with Patricia. He wondered what they were saying. He wondered if Rebecca understood yet how badly she had miscalculated. His phone buzzed. Another text from Jennifer. Regional director called the gate manager. CEO has been briefed. They want to speak with you after you land. Marcus typed back. Understood. He put his phone in airplane mode and leaned back in his seat. The cabin was filling up with passengers. Through his window he could see baggage handlers loading suitcases onto the plane, ground crew directing the aircraft, the normal rhythm of airline operations. But nothing about today had been normal. Sarah Kim, the lead flight attendant, stopped by his seat again. Mr. Chen, I want you to know that what happened at the gate is completely unacceptable. I've been with this airline for 12 years, and that's not who we are. I'm personally going to make sure your flight is excellent. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Can I ask, are you planning to file a complaint? Marcus considered the question. I'm still deciding what I'm going to do, Sarah nodded. I understand. Whatever you decide, you have every right. What happened was discrimination. Plain and simple. We all saw it. After Sarah left, Marcus thought about her words. Discrimination. Yes, that's what it was. Not subtle. Not a microaggression. Just open, obvious discrimination. Rebecca had looked at him and decided he didn't belong based purely on his appearance. The question wasn't whether it was discrimination. The question was what to do about it. Marcus could let it go. He could accept the apologies and move on. He had a business deal to close in London. He had important work to do. Why waste energy on one ignorant flight attendant? But then he thought about the other passengers. The woman who had spoken up for him. The businessman who had defended him. Emily Park, who had tried to explain who he was. They had seen injustice and spoken up. Didn't he owe it to them to do something? And more importantly, how many other passengers had Rebecca treated this way? How many people had been questioned, delayed, or humiliated because they didn't look like her idea of a first-class passenger? How many had no power to fight back? No voice to complain? The plane's door closed. An announcement came over the speaker. Back in the airport office, Patricia Stevens closed the door behind Rebecca Walsh. The small room had a desk, 2 chairs, and a computer. Airport sounds were muffled through the walls. Patricia sat down heavily. She looked at Rebecca with an expression that was hard to read. Sit down, Rebecca. Rebecca sat, still wearing her confident expression. Patricia, I know you might not agree with how I handled that, but I stand by my decision. Something about that whole situation felt wrong. Patricia put both hands flat on the desk. Rebecca, I just got a phone call. From Richard Morrison. Rebecca blinked. The regional director? Yes, the regional director. Do you know why Richard Morrison would personally call me about a boarding issue at Gate 47? Because I was protecting the airline from potential fraud? Patricia shook her head slowly. No, because the man you just accused of flying on a stolen ticket is Marcus Chen. The Marcus Chen. I don't understand. Who is Marcus Chen? Patricia turned her computer monitor so Rebecca could see it. On the screen was a Forbes article. The headline read, Marcus Chen, tech billionaire and founder of Tech Venture Global, named to Forbes 400 list. The article had a photo. It was definitely the same man. The same face. But in the photo he was wearing a suit and standing in front of a modern office building. The article said he was worth $3.2 billion. Rebecca's confident expression cracked. That can't be right. It is right. Marcus Chen is the founder and CEO of Tech Venture Global. They make clean energy technology and artificial intelligence systems. The company is worth over $40 billion. Rebecca stared at the screen. Her hands started shaking slightly. But he was wearing a hoodie. He had a backpack. He looked like what, Rebecca? Patricia's voice was sharp now. What did he look like? Rebecca couldn't answer. She was still staring at the Forbes article. Patricia pulled up another window on her computer. It gets worse. Much worse. Marcus Chen is not just some random billionaire. He's our shareholder. He personally owns 8% of this airline stock. That makes him our largest individual investor. All color drained from Rebecca's face. Oh no. Oh yes. And there's more. For the past 6 months, Marcus Chen has been in discussions with our executive board about a partnership. His company wants to help us develop sustainable aviation technology. Electric planes. Better fuel efficiency. This partnership could transform our entire fleet over the next decade. Rebecca put her hand over her mouth. I didn't know. Of course you didn't know. Because you didn't ask. You didn't check. You just looked at him and decided he didn't belong in first class. I was just being careful. We're trained to watch for suspicious behavior. What was suspicious? Patricia asked. He had a valid ticket. His ID matched. The system confirmed his purchase. What exactly was suspicious? He wasn't dressed right. He didn't have luggage. He wouldn't show me his credit card. He was dressed casually like many passengers. He had a backpack like many business travelers. And we don't require passengers to show credit cards at the gate. You know that, Rebecca. So tell me the real reason. Why did you stop him? Rebecca was quiet for a long moment. I just had a feeling. A feeling. Based on what? Based on experience. Based on knowing what first-class passengers usually look like. And what do they usually look like? Rebecca didn't answer. She knew what Patricia was asking. She knew where this conversation was going. Patricia pulled up something else on her computer. While you were at the gate, I did some checking. This isn't the first complaint we've had about you. 2 years ago, a passenger filed a report saying you gave them excessive scrutiny when boarding. They felt it was because of their race. We investigated but couldn't prove anything conclusive. You got a written warning. That was different. That passenger was actually in the wrong seat. After you questioned them for 10 minutes and made them prove they belonged in first class? Yes, they were in the wrong seat by 1 row. An honest mistake that you treated like a criminal investigation. Patricia clicked to another screen. Last year, another incident. A passenger complained that you asked invasive questions about how they could afford their ticket. Again, the complaint mentioned potential racial bias. Again, we investigated. Again, inconclusive. But now I'm seeing a pattern. Rebecca's voice got defensive. I treat all passengers the same. This has nothing to do with race, doesn't it? Let me ask you something. How many white passengers did you stop and question today? I wasn't counting. I was watching on the security cameras before I came down. I saw you let through a man in shorts and a t-shirt. I saw you let through a woman in workout clothes and flip-flops. Both white. Both dressed more casually than Marcus Chen. Did you question them? Rebecca shifted in her chair. Those were different situations. How? How were they different? They just looked like first-class passengers. And Marcus Chen didn't, even though he was dressed better than both of them. Rebecca fell silent. Patricia could see her processing everything. The reality of what she had done was starting to sink in. Patricia's phone buzzed. She looked at the message and her expression got even more serious. This just keeps getting worse. Apparently, several passengers recorded the entire confrontation. One video is already online. It's been shared thousands of times in the last 30 minutes. What? Patricia turned the phone so Rebecca could see. Twitter was open. A video was playing. It showed Rebecca questioning Marcus at the gate. The audio was clear. Rebecca's voice came from the phone. Does he look like someone who can afford a first-class ticket to London? Then later, they look the part. They belong there. He doesn't. Patricia paused the video. Rebecca, do you understand what this means? This isn't just an internal issue anymore. This is public. This is going viral. The airline's social media team is already getting bombarded with angry messages. Rebecca looked sick. I was just doing my job. No, you were making assumptions based on appearance. You were profiling, and now it's on video for the world to see. There was a knock on the door. Tom Rodriguez opened it slightly. Patricia, I hate to interrupt, but we have another situation. The CEO's office just called. They want a full incident report within the hour. And they want to speak with you directly. Patricia nodded. Tell them I'll call in 5 minutes. She turned back to Rebecca. Here's what's going to happen. Effective immediately, you're being placed on administrative leave. You'll continue receiving your salary while we conduct a full investigation. Administrative leave? Patricia, please. I've worked here for 15 years. I have a family. I need this job. You should have thought about that before you publicly humiliated one of our most valuable passengers. And before you created a viral video that's making our airline look discriminatory. It's not discrimination. I would have questioned anyone in that situation. Really? Prove it. Show me one example from today where you questioned a white passenger with a valid ticket. Rebecca couldn't, because there were no examples. Patricia stood up. Go home, Rebecca. HR will contact you tomorrow with next steps. Leave your security badge with Tom on your way out. Patricia, please. Let me apologize. Let me fix this. It's too late for that. Marcus Chen is on the plane right now, and he's not just any passenger. He's our shareholder. He's our potential partner. And most importantly, he's a human being who deserved better than what you gave him. Rebecca stood slowly. She looked smaller now, less sure of herself. What's going to happen to me? I don't know. That's up to the investigation in HR. But Rebecca, I'll be honest with you. It doesn't look good. We have video evidence. We have witness statements. We have your history of complaints. And worst of all, we have a very angry CEO who just got a call from Marcus Chen's assistant. Rebecca walked to the door. She paused with her hand on the handle. For what it's worth, I really didn't think I was doing anything wrong. That's the problem, Patricia said quietly. You didn't think. You just reacted based on bias you probably don't even realize you have. Rebecca left the office. Patricia sat back down and put her head in her hands. This was going to be a nightmare. The phone calls. The media attention. The investigation. The potential lawsuit. Her phone rang. She answered it. This is Patricia Stevens. Patricia, this is Robert Harmon, the CEO's voice. I just got off the phone with Richard Morrison. Tell me what the hell happened at your gate today. Patricia took a deep breath and began explaining. As she talked, she pulled up the viral video on her computer. It already had over 50,000 views. The comments were brutal. Fire her. This is disgusting racism. I'm never flying this airline again. That poor man handled it so calmly. He's a better person than me. Patricia finished her explanation. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Then the CEO spoke. Marcus Chen is one of our largest shareholders. He's in discussions with us about a partnership worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and one of our flight attendants accused him of being a thief based on how he was dressed. Yes, sir. That's accurate. Do you know what this could cost us? Not just the partnership. The publicity. The brand damage. We're supposed to be an airline that treats all passengers with respect. I understand, sir. Where is the flight attendant now? I placed her on immediate administrative leave. She's being escorted out of the airport. Good, start a full investigation. Review her employment file. Check for other incidents we might have missed. And Patricia, I want you to personally call Marcus Chen when he lands in London. Apologize on behalf of the entire company. Tell him we're taking this seriously. I will, sir. This is exactly the kind of incident we train people to avoid. We have diversity and inclusion programs. We have anti-discrimination policies. How did this happen? Patricia didn't have a good answer. I don't know, sir, but I'll find out. After the call ended, Patricia sat alone in the office. Through the window, she could see the plane pushing back from the gate. Marcus Chen was on that plane, flying to London for his important meeting. Probably angry, probably planning to do something about what happened. She couldn't blame him. She would be angry too. Patricia opened her email and started typing the incident report. She described everything she had seen and heard. She attached the witness statements from Tom and from passengers. She included screenshots of the viral video. As she worked, her phone kept buzzing with notifications. The story was spreading. News websites were picking it up. Billionaire CEO profiled by airline employee, read one headline. First-class passenger accused of fraud turns out to be company shareholder, said another. This was going to be a huge story. Patricia could feel it. In the age of social media, things like this didn't just disappear. They grew, they spread. They became movements, and somewhere on a plane over the Atlantic Ocean, Marcus Chen was probably thinking about exactly what he was going to do about it. Patricia thought about Rebecca walking out of the airport. 15 years of service, gone in 15 minutes because she couldn't see past her own biases. Because she looked at a man in a hoodie and decided he was a criminal. It was sad, but it was also preventable. If Rebecca had just scanned the ticket, if she had just trusted the system, if she had just treated Marcus Chen like any other passenger. But she hadn't, and now everyone was going to pay the price. The plane reached cruising altitude somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean. Marcus looked out the window at the clouds below. Up here, everything looked peaceful, clean. Simple. Nothing like the chaos at the gate. Sarah Kim stopped by his seat again. "Mr. Chen, can I get you anything? A meal? Another drink?" "I'm fine, thank you. Please let me know if you need anything at all." She hesitated, then added, "I really am sorry about what happened. I want you to know that's not how our crew operates. Rebecca doesn't work on my regular flights. If she did, I would have addressed some of her attitudes long ago." Marcus looked up at her. "Her attitudes?" Sarah glanced around to make sure no other passengers were listening. She lowered her voice. "Between you and me, I've heard stories. Other crew members have mentioned that she can be difficult, especially with certain passengers. But nothing was ever proven. Nothing was ever official. Until today." "Until today," Sarah agreed. "And now it's very official. Very public." After Sarah left, Marcus pulled out his laptop. He had work to do. The London meeting was important, but now he had another situation to deal with. He opened his email and saw messages from Jennifer, his assistant. She had sent him links to the news articles, videos from social media, screenshots of comments. The story was everywhere. Marcus Chen, billionaire tech entrepreneur accused of flying on a stolen ticket. The video had been viewed millions of times. The airline's stock price had dropped 2% in after-hours trading. Social media was exploding with reactions. Some comments made Marcus smile despite everything. He handled that with so much grace. "I would have lost it. This is exactly why representation matters. People can't imagine successful people who don't look like them. That flight attendant just profiled a billionaire. Imagine how she treats regular people." Other comments were angry. "This airline needs to fire her immediately. I'm canceling my rewards card. I won't fly with a company that allows this." This is America in 2025, still judging people by their appearance. Marcus closed the social media tabs. He didn't need to read more. He knew what this was. He had lived it many times before. The difference was that this time it was on camera. This time millions of people were watching. His phone buzzed with a call. "International number," he answered. "Marcus, it's David Park." David was his friend and also a civil rights attorney. "Hey David, I'm guessing you saw the video." Everyone saw the video. "Marcus, this is textbook discrimination. You have grounds for a lawsuit that would be enormous, not just against the airline but personally against that flight attendant." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "I know. Do you want me to start preparing papers?" "Not yet. Let me think about what I want to do here." "Marcus, this isn't just about you. This is about sending a message. That woman needs to face consequences, and the airline needs to understand they can't let this happen." "I agree, but I want to do this right. A lawsuit might get me money, but money isn't what I need. I need change." "Real change," David sighed. "You're a better person than me." "I'd sue them for everything." After hanging up, Marcus thought about David's words. He could sue. He would probably win. The video was clear evidence. The witnesses were numerous. He could get millions of dollars in damages, but what would that accomplish? The airline would pay. Rebecca would be fired. And then what? Next month, another person in another airport would face the same thing. Because the problem wasn't just one flight attendant. The problem was bigger. Marcus opened a document on his laptop and started writing notes. Ideas. Plans. He had built a $3 billion company from nothing. He knew how to solve problems. He knew how to create systems. This was just another problem that needed a systematic solution. Another passenger walked past to use the bathroom. He glanced at Marcus and did a double take. "Excuse me, are you Marcus Chen?" "Yes. I saw what happened at the gate. That was really messed up. Just wanted to say you handled it amazingly." I would have been screaming. "Thank you. I appreciate that. I work in tech too. Your TED Talk about persistence really inspired me. Changed how I approach problems. That means a lot. Thank you." After the man left, Marcus thought about his TED Talk. He had talked about facing rejection, about doors being closed in his face, about people who didn't believe in him. He had talked about using those experiences as motivation. He had told the audience that every no was just information. Data about what needs to change. And this situation with Rebecca was just more data. The flight continued. Marcus worked on his laptop, preparing for the London meeting but also drafting ideas for something bigger. Something that could actually make a difference. When the plane finally landed at Heathrow Airport, it was morning in London. Marcus gathered his backpack and prepared to exit. Sarah Kim was at the door saying goodbye to passengers. Mr. Chen, again, my sincerest apologies for the situation at JFK. I hope it doesn't affect your view of our airline. Sarah, you and your crew were excellent. Thank you. Will you be filing a complaint? Marcus smiled slightly. I'm going to do something better than a complaint. He walked through the jetway into Heathrow. The airport was busy with morning travelers. Marcus made his way through customs and immigration. The officer looked at his passport and waved him through without issue. His phone had dozens of new messages, news outlets requesting interviews, friends checking if he was okay, his board members asking what happened, and one message from Patricia Stevens, the gate manager. Mr. Chen, this is Patricia Stevens from JFK Gate 47. I am deeply sorry for what happened today. I would like to speak with you at your convenience. Please call me when you're able. Marcus saved the message but didn't respond yet. He took a taxi to his hotel in central London. In his room, he showered and changed into a suit. The London meeting was in 2 hours. He needed to focus, but his mind kept returning to Rebecca's words. Does he look like someone who can afford a first-class ticket? The assumption that appearance equals worth, that clothing determines capability, that certain people don't belong in certain spaces. Marcus had spent his entire life fighting against those assumptions. He had grown up poor. His parents worked multiple jobs to keep food on the table. His first computer was a used machine he bought with money from mowing lawns. Nobody expected him to succeed, and when he did succeed, people couldn't believe it. They thought he was lucky, or in the right place at the right time. They couldn't imagine that a kid who looked like him could build something worth billions. The London meeting went well. Marcus presented his technology to a group of European investors. They were impressed. The deal was moving forward. By the time he left the meeting, he had commitments worth over $200 million. On the way back to his hotel, Marcus finally called Patricia Stevens. Mr. Chen, thank you so much for calling me back. Hello, Patricia. I cannot apologize enough for what happened at the gate. What Rebecca did was inexcusable. I want you to know we've placed her on immediate administrative leave. We're conducting a full investigation. I appreciate you taking it seriously. We are, very seriously. And I want to assure you that this does not represent our airline's values. We have strict anti-discrimination policies. Rebecca violated all of them. Patricia, can I ask you something? Of course, anything. What happens after the investigation? Well, based on what I've seen, Rebecca will likely be terminated. We have video evidence, multiple witness statements, and frankly, your status as one of our major shareholders makes this even more serious. I see. And then what? You fire Rebecca and everything goes back to normal? Patricia was quiet for a moment. What do you mean? I mean, what changes? How do you prevent this from happening again? Not just at your airline, but everywhere? We have training programs, diversity and inclusion workshops. All employees go through them. And clearly they're not working, because Rebecca went through those programs and still did what she did. Patricia sighed. You're right. Obviously something isn't working, so let's fix it. Really fix it? I'm not sure I understand. Marcus sat down on the hotel bed. I don't want to sue your airline. I don't want Rebecca's job. I want something more valuable than that. I want real change. And what kind of change? Better training. Better systems. Better ways to identify and address bias before it turns into incidents like this. I want to help your airline become a model for how to handle these issues. Patricia sounded surprised. You want to help us? Yes, my company specializes in technology solutions for complex problems. Bias in workplace decisions is a complex problem. Let me help solve it. Mr. Chen, that's very generous, especially considering what happened. It's not generous. It's strategic. Your airline isn't the only place where this happens. It happens everywhere. In retail stores, in banks, in restaurants. Everywhere. But if we can solve it at an airline, we can prove the solution works. Then we can scale it to other industries. I would need to discuss this with our executive team. Of course, here's what I'm proposing. Tech Venture Global will develop a comprehensive bias detection and prevention program. We'll use artificial intelligence to analyze interaction patterns. We'll create better training modules. We'll implement systems that flag problematic behavior early. That sounds expensive. I'll do it for free. Consider it part of our partnership discussions about sustainable aviation. This is sustainable human resource management. Patricia laughed despite the serious situation. I think our CEO would be very interested in this conversation. Good. Have him call me. But Patricia, I want something in return. What's that? I want this to be public. I want other companies to see it. I want the program to be open source so anyone can use it. This isn't just about protecting your airline. It's about changing how we train people to recognize their own biases. I'll set up a call with our CEO for tomorrow. Mr. Chen, may I say something personal? Go ahead. Most people in your situation would be furious. They would want revenge. They would want blood. But you're turning this into something positive. That's remarkable. Marcus thought about that. I am furious, Patricia. Make no mistake. What Rebecca did was wrong. It was hurtful. And it happens to people every day who don't have the resources to fight back. But being furious doesn't fix anything. Creating better systems fixes things. After hanging up, Marcus sat in his hotel room looking out at London. The city was beautiful. Historic buildings mixed with modern towers. Old and new coexisting. Change was always happening, even in places that seemed permanent. His phone buzzed. Jennifer had sent him another update. The video now had 15 million views. Major news networks were covering the story. Civil rights organizations were calling for boycotts of the airline. Marcus typed a response. Draft a press release. Say I'm working with the airline on a solution. Say I want this to be about change, not punishment. Jennifer replied immediately. Are you sure? Public opinion is on your side. You could demand anything right now. Marcus wrote back, exactly. So I'm going to demand something that matters. Real change. He spent the rest of the evening working on the proposal. A full training program. AI systems that could identify patterns of bias in employee behavior. Regular audits. Clear consequences for violations. But also support for employees who wanted to do better. Education instead of just punishment. By midnight London time, Marcus had a draft ready. He sent it to his team at Tech Venture Global. They would refine it and prepare a full presentation. Then he opened social media one more time. He hadn't posted anything since the incident. People were waiting to hear from him, demanding statements, demanding justice. Marcus started typing. Marcus stared at the blank social media post on his phone. Millions of people were waiting for him to say something, to demand justice, to call for Rebecca's firing, to announce a lawsuit. That's what everyone expected. He started typing. Today something happened that happens to many people every day. I was judged by my appearance instead of my character. I was questioned instead of welcomed. I was assumed to be a problem instead of a person. But I'm not going to ask for anyone to be fired. I'm not filing a lawsuit. Instead, I'm asking for something much harder. I'm asking for change. I'm partnering with the airline to create a comprehensive bias prevention program, not just for them, but for any company that wants to use it. We're going to use technology and training to help people recognize their own biases before those biases hurt others. This isn't about punishment. It's about progress. I'll share more details soon. Marcus read it over 3 times. Then he posted it. Within minutes, the responses started flooding in. Some people loved it. Others were angry he wasn't demanding more. But Marcus didn't care about the reactions. He cared about the results. The next morning, Marcus had a video call with the airline's CEO, Robert Harmon. Robert looked tired and stressed. Mr. Chen, I cannot apologize enough for what happened. What Rebecca Walsh did was completely unacceptable. I appreciate the apology. Now let's talk about solutions. I saw your social media post. You're serious about creating a training program? Very serious. My company has been developing AI systems that can recognize patterns in human behavior. We can adapt that technology for bias detection, combine it with better training methods and clear accountability systems. Robert leaned forward. What would this program look like? Marcus shared his screen, showing the proposal he had drafted. Phase 1 is immediate. We review all existing complaints about bias or discrimination at your airline. We look for patterns. We identify employees who might need additional support. That's going to be uncomfortable. We'll probably find incidents we missed. Yes, but that's the point. You can't fix problems you don't acknowledge. Phase 2 is the training program. Not just a single workshop that people forget about in a week. Ongoing education. Regular updates. Real scenarios that employees might actually face. And Phase 3? Phase 3 is the AI system. It analyzes customer interactions looking for patterns, not to spy on employees but to flag potential issues early, before they become incidents like mine. The system would recommend additional training or coaching when it detects concerning patterns. Robert was quiet for a moment. This is more comprehensive than I expected. Bias is a comprehensive problem. It needs a comprehensive solution. And Robert, I want this to be completely transparent. Open source technology, public results. Other companies should be able to use this. Why? We could keep this as a competitive advantage. Because this isn't about competition. This is about making travel better for everyone. If every airline adopts this, everyone wins, including your airline, because you'll be known as the industry leader who made it happen. Robert smiled for the first time in the call. You're a good businessman, Marcus. You're turning a terrible situation into a positive brand story. I'm turning a terrible situation into actual change. The brand story is just a side effect. They talked for another hour about implementation details, budget, timeline, key personnel. By the end of the call, they had a plan. The airline would invest $10 million in the program. Marcus's company would contribute another $10 million, and the technical expertise. Launch date would be 6 months from now. After the call, Marcus checked the news. The story had continued to grow. Rebecca Walsh was now at the center of a national conversation about racial bias. Her name was trending on social media. Reporters had found her address. She had deleted all her social media accounts. Marcus felt a moment of sympathy for her. Yes, what she did was wrong, but the internet could be brutal. People were calling for her to never work again, sending her threatening messages, making her the face of racism in America. He thought about adding something to his post, a message asking people to focus on the system, not just one person, but he decided against it. Rebecca needed to face consequences for her actions. The internet mob was harsh, but Marcus wasn't going to protect her from the situation she created. Instead, he focused on building the solution. Over the next few weeks, Marcus worked with a team from the airline. They reviewed complaint records going back 5 years. What they found was disturbing. Over 200 complaints about biased treatment. Most were never properly investigated. Many were dismissed as misunderstandings. The patterns were clear. Passengers of color were questioned more often. They were asked more invasive questions. They were denied services at higher rates than white passengers. And Rebecca Walsh appeared in the record 17 times. 17 complaints over her 15-year career. Most were vague enough that nothing came of them. But the pattern was obvious once you looked. Why wasn't this caught earlier? Marcus asked Patricia during one of their meetings. Patricia looked uncomfortable. Honestly, because we didn't want to see it. Each incident by itself seems small, easy to explain away. It's only when you put them all together that the pattern becomes clear. That's what the AI system will help with. It will see patterns humans miss or ignore. The team also interviewed other airline employees. Some confirmed they had noticed Rebecca's behavior, but didn't know how to report it. Others said they assumed management knew and didn't care. A few defended Rebecca, saying she was just thorough, but one interview stood out. A young flight attendant named Michael Torres spoke honestly. I've worked with Rebecca a few times. She's nice enough to me and the other crew, but I notice she treats certain passengers differently. She's more suspicious of them, asks more questions. I mentioned it once to my supervisor and was told not to cause trouble. What happened when you reported it? Marcus asked. Nothing. My supervisor said Rebecca had been there a long time and knew what she was doing. He said I was too new to understand the job. After that, I stopped reporting things. This was the real problem, Marcus realized. Not just Rebecca. Not just bias. But the system that protected her. The culture that made people afraid to speak up. The pattern of ignoring small problems until they became big ones. Marcus added a new component to the program. A confidential reporting system where employees could flag concerns without fear of retaliation. Reports would be tracked and investigated by an independent team. Meanwhile, the viral video continued to spread. It had been viewed over 30 million times. Marcus's face was everywhere. News shows analyzed every second of the interaction. Body language experts broke down Rebecca's expressions. Civil rights leaders used it as an example in speeches. Emily Park, the young woman who had recognized Marcus at the gate, was interviewed by several news outlets. She talked about witnessing the discrimination and feeling compelled to speak up. "I saw what was happening and I knew it was wrong," Emily said on camera. Marcus Chen handled it with so much grace. But he shouldn't have had to. Nobody should have to prove they belong somewhere when they've done nothing wrong. Emily's interview went viral too. She became an advocate for speaking up when witnessing discrimination. She started a social media campaign called Recognize Excellence, encouraging people to challenge bias when they see it. Marcus invited Emily to join the advisory board for the new training program. She accepted immediately. "This is so much bigger than one incident," Emily said during their first meeting. "This is about changing culture, about making people understand that excellence doesn't look one way." 6 weeks after the incident, Rebecca Walsh broke her silence. She released a statement through a lawyer. "I deeply regret my actions at JFK Airport. I allowed my assumptions and biases to affect my professional judgment. I treated Mr. Chen unfairly and I am truly sorry. I am using this experience to examine my own prejudices and to become a better person. I ask for privacy as I work on personal growth." The statement was met with mixed reactions. Some people appreciated the apology. Others said it was too little, too late. Marcus didn't respond publicly. Privately, he thought the apology was okay but incomplete. Rebecca took responsibility but didn't really explain why she had done it. She didn't acknowledge the pattern of behavior or the other passengers she had treated poorly. But that wasn't his concern anymore. His concern was making sure it didn't happen again. The airline completed its investigation and officially terminated Rebecca's employment. They released a statement saying her actions violated company policies and their values. They announced the new training program in partnership with tech venture Global. The airline's stock price, which had dropped after the incident, recovered and then rose higher than before. Investors liked the story of turning crisis into opportunity. Marcus returned to New York for a press conference announcing the bias prevention program. The room was packed with journalists. Cameras everywhere. This was the moment to explain what they were building. Marcus stood at the podium with Robert Harmon, the airline CEO, and several civil rights leaders who had joined as advisors. 6 weeks ago, I was stopped at an airport gate and accused of flying on a stolen ticket. The only reason was how I looked. That day was frustrating and hurtful, but it was also educational. It showed me that despite all our progress, bias is still a major problem. But here's what I learned. Getting angry doesn't fix the problem. Suing doesn't fix the problem. Firing one person doesn't fix the problem. The only thing that fixes the problem is building better systems. That's what we're doing here. We're creating a comprehensive program that will help employees recognize and address their own biases. We're using technology to identify patterns before they become problems. We're creating culture change, not just policy change. And we're making all of this available to any company that wants to use it. Because bias isn't just an airline problem. It's everywhere. In retail, in banking, in healthcare, everywhere, so the solution needs to be everywhere too. The questions from reporters came fast. How much would the program cost? When would it launch? Would it really work? What about Rebecca Walsh? Did Marcus forgive her? Marcus answered each question patiently. Yes, the program was expensive but worth it. Launch was in 5 months. They believed it would work because it addressed root causes, not just symptoms. Rebecca was no longer his concern, and forgiveness wasn't the right question. The question was accountability and change. After the press conference, Marcus met privately with a group of people who had experienced similar discrimination. They shared their stories. A doctor who was assumed to be a nurse, a lawyer who was mistaken for a janitor, a professor who was questioned about being on a college campus. Each story was different, but the pattern was the same. People being judged by appearance instead of ability. People having to prove they belonged in spaces where others were welcomed automatically. "This program you're building," one woman said, "will it really change anything?" Marcus was honest. "I don't know. But I know doing nothing definitely won't change anything. So we have to try." The months passed quickly. Marcus's team worked long hours developing the training modules and AI systems. They brought in psychologists, sociologists, and civil rights experts. They tested different approaches and refined based on feedback. Emily Park helped create scenarios for the training based on real incidents. Michael Torres, the flight attendant who had tried to report Rebecca, joined the team to provide frontline perspective. Patricia Stevens was promoted to head of the new bias prevention department at the airline. Her first task was reviewing all existing employees for patterns of concerning behavior. We found 12 employees with complaint patterns similar to Rebecca's, Patricia reported in one meeting. Most had no idea they were doing anything wrong. They thought they were just being careful or thorough. That's the insidious thing about bias, Marcus said. Most people don't realize they have it. They think they're being objective when they're actually being selective. The program included a self-assessment tool where employees could examine their own biases in a private, non-judgmental way. The results were eye-opening. Over 60% of employees discovered biases they didn't know they had. I always thought I treated everyone the same, one employee admitted in a feedback session. But the assessment showed me I asked different questions to different people. I didn't even realize I was doing it. This was the breakthrough Marcus had hoped for. Change couldn't happen by force. It had to happen through awareness and choice. 5 months after the incident at JFK Airport, the Bias Prevention Program launched company-wide. Every employee at the airline went through the new training. The AI monitoring system went live, analyzing customer interactions while protecting privacy. Marcus attended the launch event at the airline's headquarters. Employees who had completed the training shared their experiences. "I've been working here for 20 years, said one gate agent. "I thought I knew everything about customer service. But this training showed me blind spots I never knew existed. I realized I was making assumptions about passengers based on how they dressed or talked. Now I catch myself before those assumptions affect my actions." Another employee, a supervisor, spoke about the cultural shift. "Before this program, we didn't talk about bias. It was uncomfortable. People got defensive. Now we have a common language. We can have honest conversations about what's working and what isn't." The early results were promising. Customer complaints about discriminatory treatment dropped by 40% in the first 3 months. Employee surveys showed increased awareness and confidence in handling diverse passengers. The AI system had flagged 32 employees for additional coaching, and all of them improved after intervention. But not everyone was happy with the changes. Some employees felt the system was invasive. Others thought the training was unnecessary. A few complained they were being accused of being racist when they were just doing their jobs. Marcus addressed these concerns directly in a company-wide video message. "This program isn't about calling anyone racist. It's about recognizing that everyone has biases. I have biases. You have biases. We all do. The question isn't whether we have them. The question is what we do about them. This system exists to help you be better at your job, to help you treat every passenger with equal respect, not to punish you but to support you. If the system flags something concerning, it's an opportunity to learn and grow." That's all. The message helped, but resistance remained. Change was always hard, especially when it required people to examine themselves honestly. Meanwhile, other airlines started reaching out. They wanted to implement the same program. Marcus made it available as promised, open source and free. Within 6 months, 4 other major airlines had adopted it. Within a year, 12 airlines worldwide were using it. The program also expanded beyond airlines. Hotels started using it, retail stores, banks. Anywhere customer service happened, the training and technology could help. Emily Park's Recognize Excellence campaign grew into a nonprofit organization. They trained people to speak up when witnessing discrimination and provided support for those who experienced it. Emily became a national voice on these issues, speaking at conferences and advising companies. The incident with Marcus could have just been another viral video that people forgot about in a week, Emily said in a speech, but he turned it into a movement. He showed that real change is possible when you focus on solutions instead of just problems. 6 months into the program, Marcus flew first class again on the same airline. Same route, JFK to London. He arrived at the airport dressed casually, just like before. Hoodie and backpack. The gate agent was a young woman named Jessica. She smiled warmly as Marcus approached. "Good afternoon. May I see your boarding pass?" Marcus showed his phone. Jessica scanned it without hesitation. "Thank you, Mr. Chen, you're all set. Enjoy your flight. No questions about how he afforded the ticket, no suspicious looks, no assumptions. Just professional, equal treatment. Exactly how it should be." On the plane, Marcus settled into his seat. A different lead flight attendant greeted him. "Welcome aboard, Mr. Chen. Thank you for flying with us." "Thank you." I just want to say, the program your company developed has changed how we work. I'm a better flight attendant because of it. Our whole crew is better. Marcus smiled. That's good to hear. The flight was smooth and uneventful. No drama, no confrontations. Just a normal flight, which was exactly the point. Everyone deserved normal. Everyone deserved to be welcomed without having to prove they belonged. When Marcus landed in London, he checked the news. The program had been featured in several business magazines as an example of turning crisis into opportunity. The airline's customer satisfaction scores were at an all-time high. Their brand reputation had improved significantly, but the best news came from the data. In the year since the incident, discrimination complaints across all participating airlines had dropped by 62%. Thousands of employees had completed the training. Hundreds had received coaching that helped them provide better service. And most importantly, millions of passengers were being treated with dignity and respect, who might not have been before. Marcus thought about Rebecca Walsh sometimes. He had heard through contacts that she was working in a completely different field now. Not in customer service, not in aviation. She had taken a job in accounting at a small company. She stayed out of the public eye. Part of Marcus felt bad for her. She had become a symbol of discrimination, her face forever linked to that viral video. But another part of him remembered the 17 complaints in her file. The pattern of behavior. The other passengers she had treated poorly over the years. Rebecca wasn't a monster. She was just a person who never examined her own biases. A person who worked in a system that didn't help her see them or correct them. She was both responsible for her actions and a product of a flawed system. That's why systemic change mattered more than individual punishment. 1 year after the incident, Marcus was invited to speak at a major business conference about leadership and crisis management. The room was full of CEOs and executives. They wanted to know how he had handled the situation so well. I didn't handle it well at first, Marcus admitted from the stage. When Rebecca stopped me at that gate, I was angry, frustrated, hurt. I wanted to yell. I wanted to make her understand how wrong she was. But I realized yelling wouldn't change anything. Getting her fired wouldn't change anything. Even suing the airline wouldn't really change anything. Those might make me feel better temporarily, but they wouldn't solve the actual problem. The problem wasn't Rebecca. She was a symptom. The problem was the system that never helped her recognize her biases. The culture that ignored complaints. The training that didn't actually train. So instead of fighting the symptom, I worked on curing the disease. I partnered with the airline to build something better. Something that could actually prevent future incidents. Was it more work than just filing a lawsuit? Yes. Did it take more time and energy? Absolutely. But the results speak for themselves. We've changed how millions of people are treated. That's worth more than any settlement. The audience applauded. After his talk, several executives approached him with questions about implementing the program at their companies. This was the ripple effect Marcus had hoped for. One incident leading to one program leading to cultural change across entire industries. That evening, Marcus checked social media one more time. Someone had posted a side-by-side comparison, the original video of Rebecca questioning him at the gate, and a new video of Marcus boarding a plane smoothly with no issues. The caption read, "This is what progress looks like. Not perfection, but progress." Marcus reshared it with his own comment. Progress happens when we choose solutions over revenge, when we choose education over punishment, when we choose to build better systems instead of just complaining about broken ones. The post got millions of views, just like the original incident video had. But this time the conversation was different. People weren't just angry. They were inspired. They were talking about how to create change in their own workplaces and communities. A high school teacher commented, "Using this as a case study in my social justice class. Showing students how to turn negative experiences into positive change." A business owner wrote, "Implementing this training at my company next month. We can all do better." A young black student posted, "Seeing someone who looks like me handle discrimination with such grace and strategy gives me hope. Thank you for showing us a different way." That last comment made Marcus pause. He thought about that young boy on the plane who had whispered to his mother about wanting to fly first class someday. He thought about all the kids who faced assumptions about what they could achieve based on how they looked. The work wasn't done. Bias still existed, discrimination still happened, but now there were tools to fight it. systems to address it, and most importantly, a proven model showing that change was possible. Marcus's phone rang. It was Jennifer, his assistant. "Marcus, I have interesting news. Rebecca Walsh's lawyer reached out. She wants to send you a letter. Not through lawyers, just a personal letter. Should I accept it?" Marcus thought for a moment. "Yes, let her send it." 2 days later, the letter arrived. Marcus read it in his office. "Dear Mr. Chen, I know I don't deserve your time or attention. I know a letter cannot undo what I did, but I need to try to explain and apologize properly. When I stopped you at the gate that day, I honestly believed I was doing my job correctly. I thought I was being thorough, protecting the airline. It never occurred to me that I was being discriminatory, but I was. I see that now. I've spent the last year in therapy working on understanding my own biases. I've read books about racial prejudice and implicit bias. I've done the hard work of examining why I acted the way I did. The truth is, I had assumptions about who belonged in first class. Assumptions based on appearance and race. I didn't think I was racist because I didn't use slurs or have conscious hatred. But I was practicing racism through my assumptions and actions. I saw you and immediately doubted you belonged there. I would never have done that to a white passenger dressed the same way. That's racism. Clear and simple, I lost my job. I lost my reputation. I became a symbol of everything wrong with how people treat each other. And I deserved all of that. What I did was wrong. But I want you to know that your response to the situation changed me more than any punishment could have. You could have destroyed me. Instead, you built something that helps people like me recognize their biases before hurting others. I went through your training program as part of my personal growth work. It was painful, seeing myself in those scenarios, realizing how many other passengers I probably treated unfairly over the years without even knowing it. I can never fly again. No airline will hire me, and that's fair. But I'm working with a nonprofit now, using my experience to teach others about implicit bias, helping them avoid making the mistakes I made. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve that. I'm just asking that you know your choice to build instead of destroy had an impact. On me, on thousands of airline employees, on millions of passengers. You turned the worst day of my life into something meaningful. I'm sorry for what I did to you. I'm sorry for every other passenger I treated poorly. I'm working every day to be better. Sincerely, Rebecca Walsh. Marcus read the letter twice. It was more honest than he expected. More self-aware. Rebecca seemed to genuinely understand what she had done and why it was wrong. He considered responding but decided against it. Some things didn't need a response. The letter was for Rebecca's healing, not his. She needed to say it. He didn't need to reply. Instead, Marcus filed the letter away and returned to his work. There were new companies asking about the bias prevention program, new industries wanting to implement it, new opportunities to expand the impact. 2 years after the incident, Marcus was flying first class again. This time it was a different airline, one that had recently implemented the program. At the gate, a young black gate agent greeted passengers with confidence and warmth. Marcus watched him scan tickets, answer questions, and help passengers with efficiency and kindness. The agent treated everyone exactly the same. Professional, courteous, equal. This was what success looked like. Not revenge, not punishment, but change. Real, measurable, systemic change. As Marcus boarded the plane, he passed a teenager in economy class who was watching him. The boy's eyes were wide with recognition. The boy leaned over to his mother and whispered loud enough for Marcus to hear. "Mom, that's Marcus Chen. The tech guy. Maybe I can be like him someday. Maybe I can fly first class too." Marcus caught the boy's eye and smiled. He gave a small nod of encouragement. Yes, the nod seemed to say. Yes, you can. Because that was the real victory. Not that Marcus had overcome discrimination, but that he had helped build a world where the next generation would face less of it. Where kids who looked like him could dream big without as many people telling them they didn't belong. The work would never be completely finished. There would always be more to do. But progress was real. Change was possible. And sometimes the best revenge against injustice was refusing to let it make you bitter. Instead, using it as fuel to make things better for everyone. Marcus settled into his first-class seat and opened his laptop. He had work to do. Deals to close. Companies to build. And a world to keep changing, one system at a time. Outside the window, the plane pushed back from the gate. The engines hummed to life. And somewhere in that aircraft were hundreds of passengers being treated with dignity and respect, regardless of how they looked or where they sat. That was worth more than any lawsuit could ever be.